governance of organizational architecture, or GOA, begins with a simple but deeply important observation. Most institutional failure is not caused primarily by evil individuals, stupidity, or lack of technology. Very often, failure is produced structurally. Modern institutions are architectures. They are systems composed of incentives, reporting pathways, classifications, authority structures, decision rights, feedback mechanisms, and operational constraints. These structures shape what people inside the system are able to see, what they are permitted to prioritize, and what actions become admissible. This means that intelligent people can operate inside irrational systems and still repeatedly produce irrational outcomes. A government may contain highly educated experts. A corporation may contain brilliant engineers. A ministry may contain experienced administrators. But if the organizational architecture rewards short-term extraction over long-term stability, then instability becomes structurally rational. If reporting systems suppress bad news, blindness becomes institutionalized. If responsibility is fragmented across disconnected agencies, accountability dissolves. If incentives reward expansion without constraint integration, systems begin consuming the future in order to stabilize the present. This is why many crises that appear technical are actually architectural underneath. Water crisis, infrastructure collapse, housing instability, energy insecurity, institutional paralysis, regulatory contradiction, supply chain fragility. These failures often emerge long before the visible crisis itself appears. The visible breakdown is usually the final stage of deeper architectural misalignment. GOA studies how governance systems transform signals into action. At the Philosophical Intelligence Institute, this process is understood through a sequencing model: signal, constraint, ontology, admissibility, action. Signals must first be detected. Constraints must then be integrated. Reality must then be classified correctly. Only after this can action become truly admissible. But many institutions reverse the sequence. They act first, then justify later. They classify before understanding constraints. They pursue political, ideological, or financial objectives before determining whether the system itself can sustainably support them. Over time, this produces structural instability. The organization may continue operating, budgets may continue flowing, reports may continue being written. But beneath the surface, the architecture is degrading. This is why civilizations and institutions rarely collapse suddenly. Most decline accumulates invisibly through years of architectural distortion. GOA also examines decision rights. Who is permitted to make decisions? Who controls information? Who benefits from classification? Who absorbs the consequences of failure? Who possesses veto authority? Who controls legitimacy? These questions matter because governance systems do not merely process information. They distribute power structurally. And once a dysfunctional architect becomes institutionalized, correcting it becomes extremely difficult because the architecture itself begins protecting its own continuation. This is why many systems continue producing outcomes that almost nobody publicly claims to want. Not because no one notices the problem, but because the architecture makes alternative outcomes difficult to achieve. Governance, therefore, is not merely about leadership. It is not merely about policy. It is not merely about politics. Governance is the architecture that determines which futures become structurally possible. The deepest insight of GOA may be this: civilizations rarely fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because their organizational architectures prevent intelligence from becoming admissible action. This is governance of organizational architecture, developed through the research program of the Philosophical Intelligence Institute. A discipline, not a trend. A framework, not an opinion.